Yo, what's up, guys? It's the Anime Titan here, back at it again with another What If, and today I will be doing what if Deku had nanotechnology. Sorry for the screw up, guys. I've just been a little occupied at the moment. So last time we left off was Izuku speaking with Raven atop on the rooftop, just telling her that basically his entire dream and his life, a bit of his life story. So we're gonna cut into exactly there. Izuku had just finished explaining to Raven exactly why he's doing what he's doing and what his whole plan is. Raven would have accepted this, and the two would have decided that it's actually getting pretty late and would head inside, each separating, going to their rooms. So then we're just gonna go around onto the next morning when it's Sunday, and out of nowhere, Melissa is just running through the hall, and she kicks open Izuku's door, yelling, "Izuku!" Izuku would quickly jump out of bed and slap on the watch, yelling out for the nanotechnology to cover him. In that exact same instance, he would quickly run over to Melissa, grabbing her and getting ready to pummel anybody that's after her. As Izuku would immediately ask her, "Where's the danger?" As Melissa would say, "What danger?" Izuku would say, "It's Sunday, isn't it?" As Melissa would reply with, "Yes, it's Sunday!" So Izuku would just have the suit retract again, and he would just take off the watch and hand it over to Melissa. Seeing as Sundays is the days when Izuku wouldn't be working on the nanotechnology or any technology for that matter, he would just take the entire day off and spend it with Melissa and David. Well, now with a bit more guests. You see, because this is when out of nowhere the other guests in the hotel would open up their doors, still kind of sleepy, wondering what the hell's going on. As Melissa would be like, um, "Sorry, I apologize. I forgot that you guys were here." As they would ask what all this racket's about, as Melissa would reply with, "It's Sunday, the day that Izuku doesn't tinker with technology. He always takes off Sundays to spend time with me and my dad." As Izuku would just be like, "Yeah, it's the least I could do." As Melissa would say, "Oh, come on, you're just modest, Izuku. You just like hanging out with us, don't you?" As Izuku would say that basically while he's here, they're the only family he has. Up until he goes home to his mother for the school holidays. As Melissa would say, "Yeah, speaking of school, did you finish your project?" With Izuku replying with, "Yeah, I finished it about the day we got the project." With Melissa being kinda, expecting that. As not Izuku, but Robin would ask what project they were talking about. As Izuku would explain that he actually goes to school here. He came here for the Island Technological Academy. As Robin would be like, "Interesting. I would like to see this academy." With Melissa being fine, but you'll have to wait till tomorrow. So basically, the Titans will be living here until further notice with Izuku, Melissa, and David, with the other students coming in back on Mondays and stuff like that. So yeah, Melissa would have told them that they can either go back to bed or to the cafeteria where they will be having breakfast. As the Titans would put on some clothes, do their morning rituals, brushing teeth, bathroom, etc., etc., put on some clothes, and then proceed to head on to the cafeteria to get breakfast. As this is where Izuku, Melissa, and David would be waiting. They would be just sitting down and enjoying their time, laughing and eating breakfast, when the Titans would arrive and see them. They'd all just be awestruck because what they saw from him was that he was an extreme workaholic. He's constantly training on his body and he's always tinkering. Any chance he gets, he'll mess with some technology. That's what they've seen so far. But this is a whole new side. Izuku's more relaxed and calm. As Melissa would say, "Hi, we're over here." Well, the Titans just moving in slowly, not to intrude on their thing. They morning bonding thing. As David would ask them how their stay's been so far, with Starfire replying that it was really good and thanking him, with David replying with no problem. Izuku would look at Melissa and ask what she's planning for today, with Melissa replying that today's just gonna be a normal beach day. She uh she was planning just to go to the beach and just fool around. With Izuku saying, "Sure, why not?" and David telling them not to mess with any of the technology that's keeping the island afloat. As Robin would have heard this, and Damien would have heard this, being interested, would ask, "What do you mean keeping the island afloat?" As well, David would reply with, "This is a man-made island. The island's piloted by humans. It's constantly moving around the world. That's why we can't be found." With Damien being shocked. So yeah, um, Damien wouldn't have felt motion sickness, seeing as not Damien Garfield. Garfield doesn't really like traveling at high speeds, so he really didn't notice any motion sickness. Izuku would have told Melissa that he plans on doing some training, with Melissa yelling at him saying that he can't do that and that it's Sunday, so it's his day off. He's not allowed to do that. But Izuku would have replied with, "I'm not allowed to tinker, and I won't be tinkering. I'm just going to be swimming a hell of a lot." With Melissa saying, "Well, at least you got some competition now," pointing towards pointing towards Damien and Garfield. With Izuku saying, "Yeah, I got some competition." So Izuku would have finished off his breakfast and would have gone back to his room, where he would have gotten his swim shorts as well as a towel and decided to head onto the beach. So long. When he had got there, well, there was basically nobody except, yeah, nobody. So Izuku would have put down his beach towel and would have gone to one of the nearby lockers, which would have been beach lockers for the students. As he would have opened his and removed his umbrella, the beach umbrella that he constantly uses, which has, well, I'm just gonna say it's a plain black one with green cyber stripes, not cyber stripes, but cubed stripes. You know, like lines that you'll see on the motherboard because of the wiring. Yeah, like that. So his is more of a technological vibe umbrella, as he would have put that over his umbrella and taken his phone with him so that he can listen to some music while he was just laying there. About 5 minutes would pass, and this is when Melissa and the rest of the Titans would will eventually make it there. With them being surprised that Izuku's already here. Izuku by this time had already almost, well, he would have just been hanging around and decided that, yeah, he wouldn't be doing much at all today. He was just listening to some music, and the Titans would have arrived with Melissa, like I said, as people would ask him if the area surrounding the island actually also cancels out any quirks. As Izuku would reply with, "No, it's just the pool." As people would say, "Hell yeah!" As he sprints into the water and quickly shifts his form into a shark, just paddling around at the highest speed that he can possibly muster. Izuku had decided that he'd actually be skipping the waters today, not going for a swim, with Melissa looking at him asking him if he won't be going, and Izuku would reply with, "No, he's actually just gonna be chilling over there," pointing towards one of the massive rocks that was just there on the side of the beach. Mind you, man-made, which Izuku does know, because he kind of made a small dent in the metal frame of the rock. So yeah, Izuku would just get up and go sit there, as he's just playing through his memories again. The memories of when he was a child, when he still believed he could become a hero. He hadn't spoken about becoming a hero in quite a long time. But those memories coming back, it's kind of painful for him. But he pushes them aside, and he just decides that, yeah, he might not become a hero, but he'll definitely help them. As he would have decided that, sorry, Melissa, but I can't waste any time today. As Izuku would have quickly put down a hollow disc, well, a hologram disc, a holographic disc, the same disc that I told you guys about, the computer thing. Yeah, so he puts down one of those, and it basically creates a holographic replica of Izuku just sitting there on the rock, and it moves occasionally just to deter suspicion. As Izuku would sneak off back to the lab, he had been working on the vehicle type nano technology, as well as the capsules for them, making sure that they're waterproof so that he can actually use them in water. He would have gone back to the watch, which he realized, damn it, Melissa had, as he would have just tried to find it, but he couldn't find it anyway. So he'd just go back to the basic nanotechnology, which here it would be he would be creating a whole new set of nanotechnology altogether. There's being quirk cancelling nanotech. He would have basically studied the pool after realizing that it can cancel out any powers, even from a different universe. So he would have studied that the technology used to cancel the quirks of the person by stimulating the body, and he would basically have turned those into nanobots, hoping to add that type of nanobots to his arsenal whenever he's fighting a massively quirked person, which it's going to come in handy, trust me. So he would have basically gotten the base design of that down within about an hour. Just the programming and the design, not building it. That's when he hear out of nowhere a yell coming from the door of the lab. This being Melissa. Melissa was furious as she held the holographic disc in her hand, yelling, "I thought we said no tinkering!" As Izuku would reply with, "I swear, I wasn't tinkering, I wasn't tinkering!" As Melissa would look at Izuku and ask, "Then what the hell were you doing?" With Izuku replying just, "I was making some modifications." Well, not modifications, I was making a new kind. As Melissa's face would immediately shift, wondering what kind. As she'd look at the program and see it's quirk cancelling. This is a whole new game changer. The core cancelling nanotechnology? She'd look at Izuku and ask, where the hell did he get this idea? As Izuku would reply with the other day when he was at the pool with the the new people. He had actually realized that the core cancelling technology that they had used to rehabilitate heroes actually cancelled out their powers as well. With that actually shocking Melissa. So she would have wondered what, well, how far they could have taken this technology. As Izuku would have said, I don't know, but I'm thinking this can help a hell of a lot of pro heroes. If villains with opposite type quirks of theirs would have been running rampant, like if Aizawa was fighting multiple quirk villains at a time and he couldn't get to all of them, he could cancel their quirks to make it a even playing field. Well, not Aizawa, but Eraserhead. With Melissa actually seeing the point in this, as Melissa would have said, "How long? How long do you think it'll take?" As Izuku would reply with, "Seeing as I've already got the base of the program down, I'm thinking at least 2 days." With Melissa saying, including factorization, well, manufacturing, as Izuku would say, yeah, manufacturing included. I mean, we do have accelerated manufacturing programs, so that should work. As Melissa would say, fine, let's just get this over and done with real quick. Make a prototype batch. As Izuku would and Melissa would quickly just start just working in the lab. It was this actually it wouldn't have been quick at all. It would have taken 4 hours, with the Titans being confused on where the hell they went, as they would have been searching around and they would have guessed that Izuku was probably in the lab, and Melissa would be looking for him. But when they entered the lab, they saw something they weren't expecting. Izuku just basically on the one side and Melissa on the other. As Izuku would basically be typing like Izuku would be typing crazy with Melissa as well, as Izuku would constantly be sending ideas through to Melissa that she would be fine tuning. Not fine tuning, but she'd fix a mistake here and then send it back to Izuku, as the two would constantly be basically springboarding ideas and programs off of each other, improving on it the entire time. As they would have wondered what the hell was going on here, as Izuku would have said, "Oh, sorry, we're kind of busy at the moment. Just a stroke of genius hit me when I was at the beach earlier. I remember that the core cancelling technology cancelled your powers out. So I was thinking if I can manufacture those into nanobots, how useful they'd be fighting the villains here. As Raven and them would have looked at each other, then back at Izuku saying that that would be really useful to any hero. As Robin would say, not Robin, but Izuku would say, I know, but the problem is the nanobot technology engine isn't powerful enough to run the program to cancel their quirks permanently. The best me and Melissa can do at the moment is 3 minutes before having to recharge the nanobots. As this is when Melissa would have shot something towards Izuku, saying that what if they used energy like a solar type, well, not a solar energy, but a different type of energy output for the nanobots instead? With Izuku wondering what Melissa meant by that. As Melissa would say, instead of charging them with just regular electricity, maybe we should try giving the nanobots a self-sustaining energy source. With Izuku thinking about it, he would realize that that would actually work. It would work perfectly. A self-sustaining energy source. He needed to get on that now. As Izuku would quickly just save all his work, as he'd quickly go back to the original nanobot engine, as he would have decided that no, he can't have the nanobots. He can't get a better engine, but he could probably make something that could emanate electricity. So he'd go to a bunch of old designs for basically generators which would generate energy, as he would have found a small one that could only output a small amount of energy, as he would have gone through to the strongest generator that they had and found a way to compress that. So basically he would have made a massively strong generator, but it's much smaller, to the size of just a regular bottle, with this emanating electricity pulses everywhere. For as Izuku had just left a bunch of nanobots which were out of energy just on the floor, as he'd quickly go pick up a handful of them and quickly just reprogram them to take energy from the outside source, which here was this bottle type generator, as the nanobots would quickly just re like it would be an instantaneous almost recharge within 2 seconds of direct exposure to the energy that the generator was putting out. The nanobots would have been fully charged and they wouldn't be losing any battery percentages, as Izuku would tell Melissa that he thinks he solved it. Melissa would have looked over and seen that Izuku did solve it. He has a separate generator to charge the nanobots now. As Izuku would ask Melissa for his watch back, Melissa would hesitantly pass it back to him, as Izuku would quickly plug in his watch and run the same programming that he did on the quirk cancelling nanotechnology through the other nano bots, making sure that the external energy source was accessible to them whenever their battery was running low. As Izuku would tell Melissa thanks, giving her a hug before telling her that now he's actually really done for the day. He's gotten what he wanted to do and he's got to get ready for that trip. With Melissa saying, "Oh yeah, I forgot that's happening tomorrow." As Raven, well, not Raven, but Beast Boy, being the curious beast that he is, would ask what trip they're talking about. As Izuku would say that, "Oh yeah, I'm actually going to UA tomorrow." As the Teen Titans would be like, "What is a UA?" As Izuku would explain that it's the number one hero school in Japan, with an acceptance rate below or close to 1%. The hero, like, they would have been like, shocked. I mean, shocked. As Izuku would say, "Yeah, I couldn't make it in as a hero, but All Might decided that he would like me there for the exercise tomorrow, seeing as my nanotechnology could be useful." As, well, they'd ask who All Might is, as Izuku would say it's the current number one hero on the planet, as well as her uncle. As they'd look at Melissa like, "Damn, woman, you got the strongest hero as your uncle." As they'd ask her what her quirk was, and Melissa would actually reply that she's quirkless as well. As Izuku would quickly just walk over to Melissa, swinging, putting his arm over her shoulder, saying that, "Yeah, we're the quirkless duo." As Melissa would giggle at the nickname that Izuku had chosen for them, because within the 10 months they actually had picked up the nickname of the quirkless duo from the other students. Because, well, it was funny how the two quirkless people were the smartest in the school, with Melissa just outranking Izuku in intelligence by just a bit. But Izuku would far shoot beyond Melissa in physical attributes. As Melissa would say, "Well, you better get packing then." As Izuku would say, "Yeah, I've already packed." With Melissa asking, "I didn't see any bags in your room." As Izuku would say, "Yeah, I kinda put the bag in the closet." As Melissa would just sweat drop, saying that, "And what happens if you forget it?" Izuku would reply with, "He won't forget it, because even if he does, he can just have his nanotechnology, have their nanotechnology, snatch it up and bring it to him." With Melissa saying, "Fair enough, fair enough." As Izuku would say, "Oh yeah, almost forgot. I have one last bit of tinkering to do." As Melissa would kind of get pissed at this, but Izuku would explain that he needs to make the watch waterproof. As Melissa would say, "Oh yeah, you've been wanting to do that for like 3 weeks now?" As Izuku would reply, "Yeah." So he'd quickly run on back in, as he'd just take half an hour's tinkering and the watch would be completely waterproof yet again. Well, not yet again, but now. So let's go ahead and time skip to the next day. This being the day that Izuku would wake up, as he would have gotten up and decided that, yeah, he's gonna go get ready, go have breakfast, and then he's gonna say goodbye to everybody. As he would do so, he would have gotten up, done his morning rituals, go to the bathroom, brush his teeth, get dressed, yada yada yada, eaten breakfast, and he was about to leave when he asked if one of the Titans would like to accompany him. As actually nobody stepped forward. Everybody took a step back, leaving Raven to her thoughts. As Izuku could say, "Okay, you can come with then." As Raven would be looking around, wondering who he was talking to. As Izuku could say, "Yeah, you, Raven, you can come with." As she would have looked beside her, seeing that all of the Titans had taken a step back. She would have looked around, visibly annoyed, when Starfire would have mouthed this. I know. When Starfire would just walk up to her and whisper something into her ear, leaving a flustered Raven, as Izuku would have just walked towards the plane that had landed on Island. Before he had gotten on though, Melissa had run up and given him something. This being a special gauntlet. It's capable of taking 3 of All Might's 100% punches, and she told him to use it wisely and sparingly. So, yeah, Izuku would have gone to UA, this time accompanied with Raven. Well, not Raven, as they'd fly off from Island and they would land on the main shore. This is where All Might would be waiting for them along with Mirio. As Mirio would greet Izuku with a very manly fist bump. Cause we all know Mirio likes to flex. He all about that power. So anyway, yeah, All Might would greet Izuku as he actually doesn't have a Small Might form anymore. The nanotechnology would have just buffed him up, so he's regular buff All Might. Not buff All Might, but I'm when I'm saying buff All Might, I mean like 20-year-old All Might. You know, from what was it? The start of the Island movie? Yeah, that All Might. He looks like that. So yeah, he's not buff and bulk, but he is buff. Basically, a Mirio build. Go with that. They look like flipping twins at this point. Just All Might looks older. As Izuku would have greeted All Might with a bow, and Raven would have just been a little awkward in the back. As Izuku would say, "Oh yeah, All Might, Mirio, this is Raven. Raven, this is Miro and All Might. As Raven would say, it's a pleasure. Well, greet them, saying it's a pleasure to meet them. As Izuku would have basically just gone on and told Raven that, yeah, this is one of the teachers at UA and he's a third year student. As Raven would ask reluctantly what their quirks were. As Mirio would say, his quirk is permeation. He can basically phase through anything, but at the cost of not being able to breathe. Raven would have said that's a really good power, but a terrible drawback. As Mirio would say, yeah, but you get used to it and you learn to adapt. As All Might would have said, I can't tell you what my quirk is. It's kind of the world's biggest secret. As Raven would have replied with, I understand. Izuku would have then said, so, where will I be staying for this week? As Raven would have said, week! As Izuku would say, yeah, sorry, probably should have warned you. As All Might would say, you're actually going to be staying in a paid for hotel. As Izuku would say, thanks, All Might. As Izuku would have just grabbed his bag as well as something, well, just grabbed his bag, and he would have walked forward, would have grabbed his bag and followed All Might to a car, which would have taken him and Raven to the hotel, and he would have started getting settled in. He would have found that there was only one bedroom, and would have given Raven the bed, while he would take the couch. Raven would be thankful, and Izuku would just be, that's okay, don't worry. As they had arrived about 8 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, Izuku would have gone to UA with Raven, just being there with him as well. As Izuku would have been walking through Class 1A. Well, not through Class 1A, through the UA gates and entering the doors, as he'd be walking through the halls, just looking through. As he remembered that Bakugo told him that he got into 1A. So Izuku would quickly be just walking through the halls with Raven floating behind him, as he'd see this massive door with the word, well, with 1A written on it. As he'd knock on the door, and the teacher inside would say, come in, it's open. Izuku would open the door. As the moment he steps through, Bakugo gets up yelling, Izuku! Well, yelling, Izuku, you're here! As Izuku would say, hey, Kachan, with everybody wondering what the hell's going on. As Bakugo would say, why are you here, Izuku? With Izuku replying that, oh, yeah, the I Island Technical Academy sent me here to come check out some of the sport course students, but, I wanted to come say hi before I go there to check it out. As I would have said, oh, so you're the I Island Technological Academy student that's coming here. As Izuku would have said, yeah, nice to meet you, Eraserhead. As everybody would have been just like pissed because he saw it first, like first sight. He just saw him and it's Eraserhead. Like he knew it, they didn't. How? As Baku would say, damn it, Deku. Well, Izuku, you're still a quirk nerd, aren't you? As Izuku would say, well, yeah, but I got something to counter quirks now. As Aizawa would have wondered what the hell this is. As Izuku would say, yeah, that's the thing. I kinda have something I need to pitch to UA anyways. I'd like to give you guys a live demonstration a little later. As Aizawa would nod, saying, sure, I'll speak to the principal about it. As Bakugo would quickly notice just a purple floating cloak. Well, the edge of a purple floating cloak, as he'd say, hey, Izuku, who's that with you? As Raven would have just been like, oh, crap. As Izuku would say, oh, Kachan, this is Raven. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. She's from an entirely different dimension. As Bakugo would say, you're joking, right? As Izuku would say, no, I'm actually not. There are 5 of them. Though all of them are different. They don't have any quirk genes. They all have the pinky toe bone. But some of them have powers like her. She can manipulate darkness and seem to use a bunch of different abilities. As it It's not a quirk, Kachan. I promise you, it's really not a quirk. We ran the test. There's no quirk. As Bakugo would say, you're telling me there's an entirely different universe of people that don't have quirks, but they're still super strong? As Izuku would say, yeah, there's also one of them who doesn't have any powers at all, but he's still really powerful. As Bakugo would say, so why the hell didn't you become a hero, Izuku? As Izuku would say, I'm a hero in my own way, Kachan. As the students would have been looking at Bakugo like, I haven't, like, this guy, he seems more pissed than usual. As Bakugo would say, how far are you anyways? As Izuku would reply with, I've created so far 4 different types of nanotechnology. As everybody's ears would have been open at this, as Izuku would quickly point out that, remember my Taze watch? As Bakugo would say, don't remind me. I've seen so many kids fall to that one watch. As Izuku would chuckle, saying, yeah, anyway, I kinda traded it in for something a little better. As Bakugo would say, what are you talking about, Izuku? As Izuku would quickly tap the watch, and he'd be surrounded instantaneously by a suit of nanotechnology. As Izuku would then proceed to speak, saying, see, Kachan, this is what I've traded it in for. As Kachan would say, a fancy suit. Well, Bakugo would say, a fancy suit? Really, Izuku? As Izuku would tell him that, come up here and try to blow up the suit. As Katsuki would have done so, as he'd walk up and he just let off a massive explosion right point blank at the suit. As the suit would have taken the full front of the impact, and it would have done nothing to it. Not a single scratch. As Bakugo would have said, great, Deku! Well, great job, Izuku! What are the other 3? As Izuku would then just have the suit drop down to his neck. Well, not drop down to his neck, but the mask retract to his neck. As he'd say, the second one is a vehicle type nanotechnology, which means I basically, if I shoot nanotechnology onto a vehicle, I can control it however I please. As Katsuki would say, cool! Well, kacha! Well, and the others? As Izuku, well, not, Katsuki will say, and the others. Not all of those multiple different ones, I'm sorry. Izuku would reply with, the other one is a medicinal type nanobot. It's injected directly to the bloodstream, into the bloodstream, and will immediately start healing any wounds from the inside. If you've got a cut, it'll start healing instantaneously from there. The nanotechnology can be retracted from the body as well, so don't worry about it getting stuck. As Katsuki would say, okay, so basically you're a doctor as well as a hero. As Izuku would say, yeah, but there's one more. As Bakugo would say, well, spill the beans. Izuku would say that, you see, the thing is, it's actually a quirk cancelling type, with everybody's jaws dropping to the floor, including Aizawa. Well, with the exception of Raven, with Bakugo saying, wait, you created technology that can cancel out quirks? As you could say, yeah, I kind of based it off of some of the technology at Island. Basically, we have a pool that can cancel out any quirk to help rehabilitate some heroes who had mobility quirks. So we use that to cancel out their quirks, to get their body used to not using the quirk before they go back to using it again. As Bakugo would say, then why the hell aren't you a hero right now, Deku? As Izuku would say, come on, Kachan, you know I don't have the power. As Bakugo would say, so what? You have the brain. Oh, crap. So, yeah, we got the trip to UA. Next episode, I'll tell you what happens further than that. Anime Titan, signing out. Peace.